Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is your boy Willie Does Wrestling, and welcome back to a brand new video. What's going on, you guys? In this video, of course, we're in that season. We are in Wrestlemania season. So I figured, why not look at the past and why not talk about my opinion, the best match from every WrestleMania. Obviously, if I were to do every single WrestleMania all in one video, I feel like we'd be here forever. So in this video, it'll probably be a little bit of a part one video as I look from WrestleMania 39 all the way to WrestleMania 30. Those are like the time range of WrestleManias from around when I became a fan. 33 was the first one that I watched as a hardcore fan, and 30 and all of them were like casual viewings, like, at buddies' places or like watching on DVDs or the network, what have you. So I figured, why not look at the best WrestleMania match of every WrestleMania, and of course, just to spice things up, we'll do best match for each night for the 2-night WrestleManias from 36 to 39. So, without further ado, I just feel like I need to preface this once again. These are strictly my opinions. They will definitely not be the same as yours. So please leave your opinions for the best match of each WrestleMania down in the comments below. And if you are new here, be sure to like, be sure to subscribe, be sure to turn post notifications on. And until then, let's get into the best matches, shall we? So we'll go reverse chronological order because we love doing that here on this channel, and we'll look at WrestleMania 39 night 2 first. And my pick for the best match will go to the Intercontinental Championship match where Gunther defended against Sheamus and Drew McIntyre. These three competitors, three of the most hard-hitting competitors in WWE, all colliding for the Intercontinental Championship. It was also the first time that the Intercontinental Championship really had that much focus in the WWE. Of course, Gunther raised the prestige of the Intercontinental Championship immensely, and this match was absolutely brilliant. All three men had some time to shine. There were a lot of points in this match, a lot of near falls where we thought that either Drew or Sheamus was going to end the reign. My personal pick leading into last year's WrestleMania was actually Sheamus. I thought he was going to be the Grand Slam champion that everyone thought he'd be, but he didn't. And Gunther had a very strong showing. Titus O'Neil was also on commentary for this match. Titus O'Neil did an amazing job selling every single hard hit that these three men did and selling the commentary very well. Titus O'Neil really needs to be a full-time commentator, if you ask me. And WrestleMania Night 2, to be real, didn't really have a whole lot of contenders. I mean, you could have given it also to Roman versus Cody, but I felt like the ending kind of ruined it. And Edge and Finn Balor, but that little botch with Balor getting busted open from that ladder, I felt like it kind of lost a little bit of popularity points. But even then, I feel like Gunther, Sheamus, and Drew McIntyre had the very best match of night 2, and they killed it 100%. The crowd was all over it. And yeah, I really don't have anything else. Gunther retained. He then goes on to become the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion in history. And I just hope that, Gunther gets more flowers and hopefully goes on to win a world title. He's definitely going to be a Hall of Famer. So I think Gunther had an amazing performance. All three guys killed it. So my pick for the best match of WrestleMania 39 Night 2 will be Gunther versus Sheamus versus Drew McIntyre. Now we move on to WrestleMania 39 Night 1. I don't know why the fuck Fightful put WrestleMania 38 there. This is 39 still. There's a lot of botches. They even said Austin Theory and John Cena's for the Intercontinental title. Fightful, Sean, what the hell, man? And my pick for the best match. I mean, there were a lot of bangers on this show, kinda. I mean, you had Seth Rollins versus Logan Paul. You had Rey and Dom. But my pick, come on, guys, it has to be the main event for the undisputed WWE Tag Team Championships, where Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn finally ended the Usos. And this was the first time that the tag team titles were defended in the main event of a WrestleMania. I felt like this was the right call to main event WrestleMania. The story heading into this match, where the Usos walking in as the longest reigning tag team champions in WWE history, as well as the whole Sami Zayn and the Bloodline thing and the whole road to reuniting with Kevin Owens, saying that the only way that they can take down the Bloodline is together. These guys absolutely killed it. There were multiple points as well where the Usos, we thought they were going to retain, but all four of these guys absolutely killed it. And that ending with Sami Zayn finally getting his revenge on Jey Uso, and the crowd was electric. I felt like it was the perfect culmination to the greatest story in recent years with Sami Zayn and the Bloodline, and ending the reign in a feel-good storybook ending to a WrestleMania. I think this was the perfect ending to a WrestleMania that you can get. And Owens and Zayn definitely deserve their flowers. The Usos definitely deserve their flowers. And yeah, no, I definitely would be a madman if I picked any other match from WrestleMania 39 to be the best match of night one. So my pick is Kevin and Sami versus the Usos. Now we move on to WrestleMania 38. And night two, not a lot of options. Oh, I forgot Mr. McMahon faced Pat McAfee. What the hell was going on in WWE in 2022? Because I'm definitely not giving it to Roman Brock. You know what? I'm going to give it to Edge versus AJ Styles. It was an absolute dream match that everyone has wanted to see, a match that we thought we would never see because of Edge's retirement, as well as for a long time AJ Styles was out there in New Japan, Ring of Honor, TNA, and the fact that we finally got this match because Edge and AJ Styles were both on the active roster, I felt was absolutely great. Of course, you had the Edge heel turn heading into this, and both men did good with what they were given, and as well as the ending, I felt like a lot of people were probably mad about, with Damian Priest getting involved, and that was really the seed that planted the Judgment Day, but I was honestly fine with it. I was fine with the duo of Edge and Damian Priest. I felt like Edge should have lasted a lot longer in the Judgment Day, but I might be a little bit biased because I love Edge, I love AJ Styles, but the fact that we finally got to see this dream match at WrestleMania, and also because there weren't a lot of options for best matches, as well as that ending, which raised a lot of questions. I love endings that are like that. I have to give the best match to WrestleMania 38, Night 2, to Edge versus AJ Styles. Now we go to night one. And come on, guys. I mean, no hesitation. I got to give it to Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins. Another dream match. You had the American Nightmare versus the Architect. Well, the Visionary, I should say. The return alone is enough to give this popularity points. Cody Rhodes, a couple of months beforehand, left AEW, and he was the executive vice president of that company, which means that this was absolutely like, what the hell is going on? And of course, Seth and the whole build up to WrestleMania was trying to get a match, and Mr. McMahon was just like, you know what? No, I'm going to pick your opponent. You are going to WrestleMania. You'll find out when you get to the ring. And the whole build-up, and of course, Cody Rhodes keeping everything from his AEW gimmick. Both these guys had an amazing in-ring spectacle that led to an amazing trilogy between those three in the span of 2022. I felt was a perfect way to bring someone like Cody Rhodes back to the WWE. And look at everything that Cody Rhodes has accomplished since coming back to the WWE. And Seth Rollins is such a king, man, for putting over Cody Rhodes, and the crowd was absolutely electric. Something we never thought we would see is Cody Rhodes back in the WWE ring again, especially with all the times he was mocking WWE after his release, and of course the creation of AEW. It was just something that we never thought we would ever see, and both men had a great back and forth match, but in the end Cody Rhodes got the win. And yeah, I gotta say, best match WrestleMania 38 night 1, Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins. I will say that full blown confidence. Now we go on to WrestleMania 37 night 2. We got Randy Orton versus The Fiend. We got Sheamus versus Riddle. Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn. Rhea Ripley versus Asuka. I'm gonna give best match to the main event for the WWE Undisputed Championship, where Roman Reigns defeated Daniel Bryan and Edge. Crazy to think that Daniel Bryan and Edge, just a few short years later, would both be mainstays in AEW. Well, Bryan Danielson is. Adam Copeland, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that guy. But I felt like these were the three perfect competitors to main event a WrestleMania. This was Daniel Bryan's last WrestleMania appearance. And not going to lie to you, I thought Edge was going to win this, but all three had an amazing showing in this match. Maybe I'm just a sucker for triple threat matches. I feel like maybe that's what I am. I feel like I'm just a sucker for triple threat multi-man matches at WrestleManias. But Roman, of course, was reigning for over a year at this point, or almost a year at this point. This was 2021. And that dominant win, of course, with stacking up, pinning him, is an amazing visual, and I felt like this was a great defense for Roman Reigns. This was back when he was a full-time competitor, so this just made Roman Reigns look like an absolute monster. If only we knew how less frequent his reigns, his defenses would be after this. And also beating two legends like Daniel Bryan and Edge on the greatest stage of them all, I felt like really solidified Roman Reigns and his tribal chief gimmick. So yeah, I gotta give best match WrestleMania 37 night 2 to Roman Reigns, Edge, and Daniel Bryan. Now we move on to WrestleMania 37 night 1. We had Bobby Lashley versus Drew McIntyre. We had some tag team turmoil. Cesaro and Seth Rollins, AJ Styles and Omos versus The New Day. We had Braun Strowman versus Shane McMahon. I completely forgot about that. Bad Bunny and Damian Priest versus John Morrison and The Miz. And, of course, Bianca Belair versus Sasha Banks for the SmackDown Women's Championship, which I will give the best match to Bianca Belair versus Sasha Banks. That moment at the start of this match where the bell rings and then Bianca and Sasha just had that moment where they were just like, we are here. This match was not supposed to be the main event of night 1. From what I've heard, I don't know what would have been. But I guess fans were just like, no, give these two the main event spot. They deserve it. And boy, did they prove the fans right that this match should have main evented. Bianca Belair, of course, was a recent NXT call-up, and she won the Royal Rumble, and these two women killed it. They really epitomized women's wrestling at its peak. And despite my opinions of Sasha Banks in the past about her being overrated or all that jazz, I felt like she really put Bianca Belair over here, and Bianca Belair had a star-making performance on this show that really epitomized her career, and now she is one of the greatest women's talents in all of WWE. And yeah, just to see this be the second women's main event of WrestleMania is just really proving that women are on that level in wrestling now. And that's something you really love to see, because for decades and decades and decades, the women have always been the undercard, or they've been put in weird ass Playboy matches or whatever. So it's just very, very exciting to see the women finally getting their moment. And Bianca Belair, of course, won the SmackDown Women's title in the main event. Something you really love to see. So yeah, I got to give best match WrestleMania 37 night 1 to Bianca Belair versus Sasha Banks. Now we move on to WrestleMania 36 night 2, the first two-night WrestleMania. And we had Liv Morgan versus Natalya. Charlotte Flair, Rhea Ripley, NXT Women's Championship. Aleister Black versus Bobby Lashley. Otis versus Dolph Ziggler. Edge, Randy Orton. Street Profits, Austin Theory, and Angel Garza. We had the SmackDown Women's Championship elimination match. We had a 24/7 title segment. We had The Fiend, Bray Wyatt versus John Cena and Firefly Funhouse match. And we had Drew McIntyre versus Brock Lesnar. Now, I feel like this is going to be cheating in a way because it was a cinematic match. I got to give it to the Firefly Funhouse match. The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, rest in peace, versus John Cena. Now, yes, it was a gimmicky, cinematic match, but it really, when I knew the build to WrestleMania 36, and it said Firefly Funhouse match, I didn't know what to expect, because normally when you hear stuff like that, especially since this was like late Vince McMahon era, you think, oh, this match is gonna suck. But boy, did Bray Wyatt and John Cena do an amazing job with this match. All the funny moments with the Nikki Bella reference and the NWO segment, the callback to Cena's debut, the puppet Vince McMahon on commentary, and both guys just absolutely had so much fun, and it really made fans think, especially with Undertaker AJ Styles the night before, that maybe we should have more cinematic matches in WWE. Of course, the Wyatt Swamp fight after was crap, but this match was absolutely amazing. And of course, the story heading in where Bray couldn't beat Cena at WrestleMania 30, so this is Bray trying to get his revenge with this whole new gimmick, and he did. And I loved this match, and yeah, I could have given it to Drew Brock, but it was a finisher spam fest, and Orton Edge in the Last Man Standing match way too long, and a lot of filler matches on night 2. So yeah, I'm giving best match WrestleMania 36 night 2 to The Fiend, Bray Wyatt versus John Cena. Rest in peace, my friend. Now we'll go on to WrestleMania 36 night 1. A lot of filler here, I believe. Cesaro, Drew Gulak, Alexa Bliss, Nikki Cross versus Kabuki Warriors, Elias King Corbin, 24/7 title segment. So we had Kevin Owens versus Seth Rollins. That was a decent match. We had Braun Strowman versus Goldberg, and the Boneyard match, Undertaker versus AJ Styles, which again feels like cheating that the two cinematic matches will get the best matches of WrestleMania 36. I'll give a little bit of a runner-up. Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins, that was the runner-up. Those two absolutely killed it, but I felt like the best match goes to Undertaker versus AJ Styles in the Boneyard match. This was the Undertaker's last match in the WWE. That sentence might age like milk if a good Saudi Arabia show comes up. But again, dream matches. I'm a real sucker for dream matches. Undertaker and AJ Styles. And I felt like they really went with the route of cinematic matches because AJ is more of a high flyer and a technical guy, and they probably didn't want to, injure the Undertaker. So they decided to do this little Boneyard match, and it was a great way to end the Undertaker's career. I don't care what anybody says about the way that the match looked and, it was too wacky. I felt like both men did the best with what they were given, and of course the ending where the Undertaker buries AJ alive, it was just a great way to just be like, that's the final burial in Undertaker's career, and I felt like AJ Styles was the perfect last opponent for the Undertaker, and yeah, I might just be biased, and a lot of people might get mad at me or go in the comments being like, you gave the best matches to the two cinematic matches. That doesn't count. To me it does if it's on the list. So shut up. So yes, best match, WrestleMania 36 night 1 will go to The Undertaker versus AJ Styles. And now we move on to the only one night WrestleManias, and look at how long this card was. Holy moly, WrestleMania 35 was ridiculously long. I'm not even going to try to list all the matches, so I'm just going to list the highlights. We had Seth Rollins versus Brock Lesnar. We had Daniel Bryan, Kofi Kingston. We had Becky, Ronda, Charlotte in the main event. We had Roman McIntyre. Like there was like every title was on the line. I felt like, or almost every title was on the line. This pay-per-view was like 5 hours long. I remember almost falling asleep during the Roman McIntyre match when I was watching this pay-per-view live with my parents, and we ordered fucking $60 for this pay-per-view. So think about that. So that's why my parents tried really hard to make me stay up, and I did. So, but my pick for best match WrestleMania 35, I have to give it to Kofi Kingston versus Daniel Bryan for the WWE Championship. I felt like there was no other match that really deserves that title. I mean, sure, I could have given it to Ronda Rousey, Becky Lynch, and Charlotte Flair if it weren't for the botches and all that jazz and the crappy ending. But I feel like Kofi Danielson really killed it in this match. Of course, the story heading in that Kofi never got that one-on-one title match and was never seen as this guy. Almost a little bit of a repeat copy-paste to the Danielson WrestleMania 30 storyline. But I loved, and I know that this was originally supposed to be Mustafa Ali's little moment if Ali didn't get injured, but I felt like Kofi Kingston was the perfect replacement. He was there in WWE for 11 years. Kofi and Danielson had a very good, I don't know why I keep saying Danielson, had a very good back and forth match. Of course, you had Big E Woods and Eric Rowan in there. And then, of course, the moment where Kofi Kingston beats Daniel Bryan and the crowd goes electric. It's just a shame that this happened smack dab in the middle of this show. I felt like this could have been main event or co-main event, but I understand they wanted to make the women look strong and they wanted to give them that first ever main event. But Kofi Kingston and Daniel Bryan had an amazing match. Kofi finally winning the big one. If only the rest of the booking of his reign was good. But, oh well, for that night alone, all was right in the world as Kofi Kingston was WWE champion. And being a guy who was a casual fan at that point, growing up with Kofi Kingston and how amazing he was, he still is. It was like a very feel-good moment to see Kofi Kingston win the WWE championship. So I feel like, yeah, I got to give that best match of WrestleMania 35. Now we go on to WrestleMania 34. Again, another long match card. We had Rollins, Miz, and Finn Balor, Charlotte, Asuka, U.S. title fatal 4-way, Undertaker, John Cena. We had Zayn and Owens versus Shane McMahon and Daniel Bryan's return match. We had Styles, Nakamura. And, of course, main event, we had Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns for the Universal title. But in my opinion, that show opener, again, I'm a sucker for triple threats. I got to give it to the Intercontinental Championship opener between Seth Rollins, The Miz, and Finn Balor. These three men, three of the greatest in-ring competitors in WWE, with Seth Rollins, The Miz, and Finn Balor. I felt like these three all had an amazing slugfest, back and forths. The Miz even looked strong. And this was around an era where WWE really wanted you to believe that The Miz cannot really hold his own, because at the time he had the Miztourage, Bo Dallas, and Curtis Axel. And all three really killed it. And of course, in the end, Seth Rollins getting the victory. There were a lot of amazing high spots as well. And, of course, the callback to the injury between Finn Balor and Seth Rollins at SummerSlam 2016. But, of course, the ending, Seth Rollins got the win, and this was his last title before he became a Grand Slam champion when he finally won the Intercontinental Championship. I felt like that was the perfect start to a WrestleMania. Obviously, the rest of the show was but I felt like it was a great way to get the fans riled up with an amazing triple threat between Seth Rollins, The Miz, and Finn Balor for the Intercontinental Championship. So that is my pick for the best match of WrestleMania 34. Now we move on to WrestleMania 33, and we have Owens Jericho style Shane McMahon, Orton Wyatt, Brock Lesnar Goldberg, and Roman Undertaker main eventing. We also had Seth Rollins versus Triple H. I'm torn between two options. Obviously, there's Owens and Jericho, and there's Rollins Triple H. And to be honest, I'm going to give this to... I'm going to go with my head and not my heart. I'm giving it to the unsanctioned match, Seth Rollins versus Triple H. And the whole redemption babyface arc of Seth Rollins in this feud, of course, Triple H screwing him out of the Universal Championship in 2016. And then, of course, the whole story around Rollins' injured knee, whether or not he was going to make it to WrestleMania. This heel Triple H. And I get it, not a lot of people liked this era of Triple H where he was only there for the WrestleManias and he's just a part-time guy. I do understand that, but I felt like Triple H did a very good job to get Rollins over. Of course, a lot of weapons being used, a lot of spots using that injured knee, and Stephanie McMahon being out there helping Triple H as well. But my favorite part was that ending where Rollins kicked Triple H bumps into Stephanie goes through the table, Rollins hits the pedigree and gets the win. I felt like that was a perfect passing of the torch moment for Seth Rollins to beat his mentor Triple H at WrestleMania. And of course, the whole babyface run. This was peak babyface Rollins before the crowd turned on him like a couple years later. But I felt like this was an amazing match. Sure, the match ran a little too long, but I'll forgive it because I honestly really liked this match. But the runner-up clearly was Kevin Owens, Chris Jericho. That should have main evented. I don't care what anybody says. Now that is WrestleMania 33. Now we move on to a lot of people's picks for possibly the worst WrestleMania of all time, WrestleMania 32. And we had the ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship. We had Jericho Styles. We had the no-holds-barred street fight, Brock Lesnar versus Dean Ambrose. We had the Women's Championship triple threat, Undertaker, Shane McMahon. We had The Rock versus Eric Rowan. And then we had Roman Reigns versus Triple H in the main event. Now, there are two options. There's either the Women's triple threat or it's my pick. It is the ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship where Zack Ryder beat Kevin Owens, Dolph Ziggler, The Miz, Stardust, Sami Zayn, and Sin Cara. And of course, the lineup are all underutilized talent or talent on the rise. And I felt like the beginning of WrestleMania really gave all of these men the time to shine. A lot of high spots, a lot of louder spots. That one Sin Cara spot where he went through a ladder. I think Stardust went through a ladder as well. Sami Zayn's dive, and of course the callback to Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn's high stakes NXT rivalry from the year prior. I feel like that was really executed very well. And of course, it even gets more points for the unexpected result, where The Miz looked like he was going to win the Intercontinental Championship. Zack Ryder, who at that point was basically a bona fide jobber, getting the big WrestleMania moment and winning the Intercontinental Championship. It was like a holy shit, that did not just happen moment. But it was a feel-good moment because the fans really liked Zack Ryder, myself included, and it felt good. It's just a shame that Zack Ryder's reign as Intercontinental Champion only lasted one day. I thought that was absolutely stupid, but for the feel-good moment, it was a perfect match, and Zack Ryder getting that unexpected win gave it more popularity points. So my pick for best match, WrestleMania 32, I'm giving it to the ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship. I know the Divas stands might hate me for that, but I'm gonna double down. I'm gonna stick with my gut. I'm gonna give it to the ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship. Now we move on to WrestleMania 31. We had the ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship. We had Orton Rollins. We had Triple H versus Sting. Cena versus Rusev, Undertaker, Bray Wyatt, and then, of course, the main event. Come on, guys. What other match did you expect me to pick besides this one if you know WrestleMania 31? Probably my top 3 WrestleManias of all time. I'm giving it to the WWE World Heavyweight Championship match between, well, originally just Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns, but then Seth Rollins cashing in Money in the Bank, the heist of the century. Now listen, even if you take Seth Rollins out of the conversation for 1 second, the match between Roman and Brock was good. I get it, this was peak everybody hates Roman era, and Brock was a part-time guy, but I felt like both guys really did good. Of course, Lesnar got all bloody in the build-up, and these guys went back and forth. And then, of course, probably one of, if not the best WrestleMania moment of all time, definitely my favorite WrestleMania moment of all time, was when Rollins came in, cashed in the Money in the Bank contract at WrestleMania, the first time, and as of this video, only time a Money in the Bank has been cashed in at WrestleMania. Rollins beating both men to win the WWE Championship, and this really personified that Seth Rollins was the future, and he still is a champion with the World Heavyweight Championship as the making of this video. So I felt like all 3 guys did good with this match, and Seth Rollins became a bona fide star with this win, and it was a perfect way, a perfect swerve to end WrestleMania 31. And I couldn't give this to any other match. Like, I don't care what anybody says, especially Rollins, who lost earlier in the night against Randy Orton. He redeemed that by winning the WWE Championship because he was still Money in the Bank. So yeah, I gotta give it to the main event for best match of the night. Now we go on to another one of my favorite WrestleManias. We got WrestleMania 30, and this will be the last WrestleMania that we talk about in this video. We had Daniel Bryan versus Triple H. We had The Shield versus Kane and the New Age Outlaws. We had Cena, Wyatt, Brock, Undertaker. We had AJ. We had the Divas Championship Invitational. And we had Daniel Bryan, Randy Orton, Batista. Now, come on, guys. Come on. I'm giving it to the WWE World Heavyweight Championship match. Daniel Bryan, Randy Orton, Batista. Especially because of the whole build. Like, the Yes Movement was one of the best storylines in WWE history, where Daniel Bryan was constantly told, you are too small, you are not the guy, you are not the guy that we think that we want to be the face of the company. Daniel Bryan facing all this adversity with the Authority. He beat Triple H earlier on in the night to be added to the main event. And then, of course, Randy Orton, Batista trying to double team on Daniel Bryan to get him out of the equation, so that way it's just Orton, Batista. And then Bryan, of course, all taped up, going through all this adversity. And then, of course, the miracle on Bourbon Street, guys. Daniel Bryan tapping out Batista to get the WWE Championship. And the Yes Movement just kept on going. It was the perfect ending, a perfect match. And yeah, no, man, it just further proves that the fans do have the power, because heaven knows what we originally would have gotten. An Evolution triple threat, just Orton, Batista, because it was clear that they didn't see anything in Bryan before the fans were like, no, screw you. We want Daniel Bryan, and they did it. And I felt like that was the perfect ending to a perfect WrestleMania. One of my favorite Manias, hands down. So yeah, I got to give it to Bryan, Orton, Batista for best match of WrestleMania 30. So that's gonna have to conclude my picks for the best matches of every WrestleMania, from WrestleMania 30 all the way to WrestleMania 39 all the way to WrestleMania 30. Let me know what your favorite matches on all these WrestleManias are. Leave them down in the comments below. Of course, if you want me to do more WrestleManias, like from 29 to 20 or, 19 to 10, I'll probably find time to watch all those WrestleManias. Or do you want me to do the worst matches of every WrestleMania? Leave them down in the comments below as well. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys so much for watching. Once again, I just want to give a shout out to the guys over at Rogers for allowing my content to air on their channel, which is coming very, 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 very soon. And be sure to like, be sure to subscribe, be sure to turn post notifications on so that way you never miss an upload. Until next time, this has been your boy, Willie Does Wrestling. I will see you in the next video. Be good, people, and peace.